Hi, I'm Chris Duarte. I'm going to try to show you in the next 60 minutes or so what I do for practicing to stay in shape and what concepts I'm working on now to expand and explore new ways to play in music. I say concepts I'm working on now because I think music is a journey with a forever changing landscape. That's not to say we don't get stuck in valleys or deserts once in a while, but if you just keep working on towards getting through an unchanging view, in your sights, I assure you, your outlook will change. Now let's get on with some practicing routines. Now, I know the P word is not pleasant for some, but I can't tell you how much it has helped me in my career and how it keeps me sharp and my confidence high. If practicing really isn't your thing, then I guess you don't have to watch this section and you can skip to the others. But I am sincerely telling you that if you're the type of person who shuns the routine of practicing, I only feel that you're hurting yourself. So for the rest of you that stayed, let's get to work. A metronome. This should be your best friend. It's a drummer that's never late, doesn't ask for more money, he doesn't rush or drag, and you don't have to pay him. Just the starter fee at your local music store, and you're set for life. I know some people complain that a metronome is too dry and stiff. Well, it's up to you to make the groove swing or bounce. I would start playing on the beat like so. I'm just going to keep it simple with major and minor scales right now, which if you don't know, you should. We'll go over that in a second. So here's right on the beat. My picking style is the old up and down. That's just the way that works best for me. A more efficacious use of motion. Playing with a metronome or a drum machine will improve your timing immensely. Take it easy on speed. With time, your speed will increase. I always start out with my major scale first. First position. I start out at the lowest, which is F sharp for me, and I go up the scale, then up a half step and come down the G scale. I continue this pattern all the way up the neck until I can no longer play complete scale, which on a standard 21 fret guitar would be the B scale. Then you just start coming down using the same pattern all the way back down the neck. Incidentally, let's get something straight on the terminology. You're going to go up the neck when you're going up in pitch and down the neck when you're going down in pitch. So from now on, when I say up the neck, you know it's this and vice versa. Try not to stop. What you want to do is build up your stamina and endurance. Practice work on your scales, whichever scales you know, and get them till they're second nature. I then move on to my minor scales, the major seventh arpeggios, diminished third arpeggios, whole tones, etc. Try to make sure your picking style is consistent with each note that rings out. I guarantee you that if you stick with this routine, it will improve the quality and clarity of your notes. Approaching a song, you have to take in some considerations. First, of course, is the key. Then, is it major or minor? These right there are a good place for us to start. When I'm soloing, I'm thinking very basic, mainly of the triads from the major or minor scales. Now, if you've been practicing your major and minor scales, you've learned by now what the triads are. It's basically the 1, 3, and 5 from the scale. I'm not going to dwell too long on this because you're just going to have to do your own homework to catch up with this DVD. I'm just trying to push you into being a better player. So let's start there. We're going to be in the key of B. I'm going to play just the 1, 3, and the 5 from the scale. You can jump around the octaves, and you just don't have to keep your notes in numerical order. Mix it up and play 3, 1, and 5, 5, 1, 3. It's going to sound a little square in the beginning, and you might be frustrated because your phrases sound a bit sterile and square. But the more comfortable you get, and then the better you get to know the neck of your guitar, your note selection will start to be more adventurous as your ear is better trained in hearing where you want to go. Now let's play with more colors. We're now going to start using the notes in between the triad. Little more color, okay. Now let's go on with the higher tensions, namely the 7th and the 9th. Let's mess around with these. We're going to use the flat 7th and the flat 9th and the raised 9th too. Both of these can be really colorful. Try to play inside each of the chords and use the notes that sound the best with the chord. For example, if you're playing over a G7th and you go to a C minor chord, you're going to start using the triad that's associated with the C minor scale, which have a flat 3rd in it, E flat, and sometimes the 7th, B flat, will be flat or can be played major. Now let's go over probably the most popular scale in guitar playing for the last 50 years or so. Can you guess it? That's right, the pentatonic. Once again, I'm not going to bog you down with weighty and pedantic theory terms. That will only confuse you, I feel. Not that I'm underestimating you or your abilities, it's just that once again, that's something for you to work on, and if you know it already, then you know what I'm talking about. The pentatonic, like all of the other scales, have their major and minor properties to them. We're going to stop with the 1. I'm pretty sure all of you have plinked around with the pentatonic minor. Let's take it in the key of G. Here it is. Now that was just straight up the scale and then back down it. What I do is play it in patterns of 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. This way you'll get to know the scale really well and to hear the different possibilities that you can apply. This scale is so popular because it's the main scale in rock and blues, like some of these licks. What is good to learn is to play the scale up and down the neck from different starting points. It's called the pentatonic because it's made up of 5 notes from the scale. In the G minor, it's the minor 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the minor 7th, or the flat 7th. Then, of course, you have your 1. Remember, too, that this is also the B-flat major scale, and it consists of the 2, the major 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. So getting back to the starting points, learn the different positions where the scale starts. For example, here's the G minor in the first position, or starting on the 1. And then go up to the minor 3rd and start it. Then the 4th, and etc. Learn this starting on the low E and then the A and even the D for starters. This will enable you to execute the pentatonic anywhere on the neck and from any starting point. More colors. Don't be afraid to experiment with your solos. Just as in life, you want to learn from your mistakes. Remember, practice, 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 and never be satisfied with standing still musically. What I finally want to show you is the chromatic scale. Chromatic, for me, creates great patterns to play on between chords. Chromatic scales are consisted of every note. No spaces in between. Go up or down, try them out, and see what sounds good to you. You don't have to play a lot of notes. You can be very effective with a short spurt. All of these ideas that I've shown is what I think about and what I basically work on to improve myself and to look for new ways to explore. Be bold and never give up with your search. In this section, we're going to go over what I do and think about when I'm playing rhythms. We'll also cover the choices I consider when I'm about to do a solo using intervals instead of single line notes. Once again, you're going to have to know a little bit about how chords are built. I'm going to try to explain it simple enough so that maybe it will give you a toehold on the matter at hand, and it'll inspire you to reach for more. We're first going to work on a simple shuffle rhythm to get our feet wet. This one is called B-flat blues, and it's on my romp CD. The shuffle is something I'm sure a lot of y'all are familiar with. If you know what makes a chord major or minor, that's a good start. What makes a chord major or minor is the third note of the scale. The major third is 2 whole steps from the 1, and the minor is a whole step and a half step. In other words, in the key of B-flat, the major will be a D, and the minor a D-flat. What would be a good idea is to learn the rest of the 12 keys and memorize that interval in all keys. So now that we've determined the color of the chord, let's see how we can use these around the neck. Start off by knowing the interval down low. Now, can you find it anywhere else? You don't have to stay with the root or the 1 or B-flat on the bottom. You can put the major third on the bottom too. Play it everywhere on the neck and get to know them. Discover fingerings that are comfortable with you. Think of the easiest way to do it. Don't fall into the trap of thinking, if it's hard to do, then it must be worth working on. That's true in some cases when you're learning some hugely dramatic song, but not here. Don't forget to look for the intervals for the 4 and the 5 chords too. That's what we went over in the last chapter. If you must, stop and go check it out. Now that's just kind of exercising yourself with the song. Let's play full-on chords now. When I get the chance to play just rhythm on songs, especially shuffles and swing, I start to think like a horn section. My kicks on the chords are in the style of playing like a horn section. Kicks here, swells and slurs there. Listen to some guitar players that have horn sections with them, and you can get some ideas on phrasing with your chords. So we're going to begin with a simple, steady rhythm on B-flat. So let's see. We found where the intervals are in relationship to the chords in the song. Good going. Now I'm going to start to mix in some of these intervals and bounce them around and start to play with it rhythmically. Watch here. Let's spice it up just a bit more. you see how I'm going into each chord? It adds more color to your playing and it makes the song more compelling to the listener. Let's change gears now and start doing some soloing over a funky rhythm. We're going to go to the key of B and play a song called Big-Legged Woman off my Texas Sugar CD. Let's start to play around with the syncopation of the rhythm and take more bolder stretches with the chords. Let's go. I like playing in this genre because the makeup of the song allows me different avenues to go in. With the drums keeping really steady and the bass providing that bouncy foundation, I'm allowed to use different syncopation on the top to propel the song. Don't just think you can play up all these chords and not pay attention to what's going on in the rest of the group. There is such a thing as playing too much. Always listen to what's going on with your bandmates. Just like in Aesop's fables, a bundle of sticks is more powerful together than the single stick. Always listen. Now let's play some more. You know how you hear these songs that just have a dark feeling to them? How the artist goes into another world and brings out colors like a painter? That's what I'm going to try to explain with the colors I paint with and how I came about in creating them. We're going to start with the minor 1, 4, 5. I call this Kanashimi. It's in B minor. Let's look at the pentatonic minor. It's not going to be just the notes of the scale that'll make the mood. It's going to be your phrasing. What I'm going to introduce now is some bends and snaky sort of things that will heighten the darkness, or should I say, bring down the mood. Now, don't be afraid to start on the root. I know I hear a lot of cats claim that starting on the root is so droll and lame, but in the blues, we call them stingers. Then let's spin off by using the minor third in this slide down riff. With me, I try to come up with quirky phrasing, but at the same time using the scale and thinking of the chord composition too. Staying with those in mind will keep the mood there. Let's play some chords in intervals. All these are related to the chords and scales. Just mess around and experiment. Trial and error is how you learn. With me, I love to build up the intensity, then bring it down, or break it down. Very effective in genres of music. Blues just seems to go hand in hand with it. Don't do it too much, though. There's always that old adage, too much of a good thing. Now we're going to switch gears and try to take things out a bit. We're going to stay in, but just create a little tension. Let's hear some music now. This is a little number in E. Let's hit the flat 5. playing around with the notes that are just above and below the scale tones, sometimes referred to as passing tones. But these we will stay on and give them full value. Using dissonant intervals is cool too, like the flat 2 and the 1, or any note that's just a half step away. They don't have to be in the same octave either. Flat 2, the flat 5, the flat 9, sharp 11, major 7 can create some tension and vibrant color to the song. Use some legato spurts and runs. I'll do this and just raise it up a half step, then bring it back to the chord or back inside. Good old rock licks work too. Using all these colors and trying to find new colors to work with should be a priority in your learning. Music is an endless landscape, and if you limit your horizons, you're only limiting yourself. So here's what some of you geeks out there have been waiting for: my equipment. I'm not going to tell you what to get or how you should set it. When it comes down to it, it's what sounds good to you, period. The first, most important thing to remember is that a big part of your tone and sound is in your hands. Not some metaphysical diatribe is going to come from me next, but that it depends on how you touching your strings when you pick that note. The pressure in which you apply will have a dramatic effect on your playing. Your fingertips too. If you start picking with the downstroke or upstroke, there are a lot of factors involved here, but I just wanted to touch on those few because those I mentioned are very important. Let's go see some equipment. I play through 4 amps on about 99% of my shows. I do go into an occasional small club and I have to scale down, but normally it's flame on for me. Let's start with the Fender Vibra King. The amp is the anchor of my tone. It's generally in the category of dirty highs for me. And I start with it and I dial in other amps with different tones too to round out the sound. Next, the Randall, the modular system, allows me to get really authentic old classic tones with the help of electronics and tubes. I play all tube amps because basically I like the way the tube amps sound for what I do in the CDG. The top one, which is not there, none of the Randall amps are there, is my clean lows, and the bottom is the dirty lows. Both are modular models, and the top one should be a 15-inch speaker, but I couldn't get mine here because Randall has only made one, and it's mine. I just like the way a 15-inch speaker sounds with a single coil pickups. It gives more depth and bottom. Finally, we have the Marshall. No explanation needed here. The tone I want from is said the Marshall sound. Altogether, this makes a big, round sound. The old Strat helps too because of the original pickups, but these amps have got the goods for my ears. I incidentally use monster cables, and not just for the tone they say that gold plating provides. My reasons are more pragmatic in nature. They give an unconditional guarantee of replacement, and if it stops working for any reason, replace free. So I don't buy very many cables. Here are my pedals. Let's start from the beginning. Here's the ABY box that runs to my amps. I just run the Fender and Randall in series. In other words, that's in one amp and out the other channel into another amp. I'll never forget how astonished I was to find that out early in my career. Then you have these crazy fantasies about hooking up 100 amps and having the big sound. The Marshall runs on a separate channel. I always have 3 amps running, and when I step on the button for the Marshall, then all 4 amps are cranking. I don't usually have all of them going to every song, just the ones I need that Jimmy kick to. Next in line is the Texas Ranger. Cesar himself gave this to me at an SRV tribute show in Dallas about 5 years ago. It's a frequency booster, and I mainly keep it on the mids. It can really make your guitar sound nasally. So you really have to compensate by boosting the lows in your amps and your distortion pedals. Next, the DS1. Good old Boss DS1. I have it mainly because I've grown up using this pedal, and I really know how to work one. I usually have the tone knob at about 9:30 and the distortion at about 2 o'clock. By the end of the night, though, I'll have the distortion all the way up. We then have the Boss Chorus CE2. The chorus pedals that I play get a Leslie sound. You just crank the rate all the way up, and that's the spinning rate. And the effect at about 2, because if you do it too much, you tend to get into detuned territory. Really distant it. Next, we have another distortion pedal, the LTD pedal, just to give me different options with a different distortion sound. Here's the DD3. The effect is set on about 10 o'clock. The repeats, echo repeats that is set usually at about 10 o'clock, but this one needs to be adjusted occasionally because it's better to have your echoes timed to the tempo of the song you're playing. This big colorful pedal here is a Glow Vibe Monkey Dance. I know that sounds a little goofy, so you can just refer to it as a Univibe. It's basically just that, but you can switch it to tremolo pedal too. The effect is all the way up, and this here pedal lets you adjust the rate. Try to put the effect swells at the same time the song is. On the quarter note beats is a good start. This next monstrosity is a Mutron octave divider. I only use this on one song, but it's really a necessary tone for that song. Here's the sometime used Octavia pedal. I use it more like a synthesizer trumpet sound. Then we come to the tuner, which you don't see down here, but it's usually plugged into an AB box so that I can take it offline with all the other pedals. Leaving it on the rest of the pedals sucks some of your tone away, hence the AB box. That's not here, but that's what I use. My main guitar is this one here. It's a 1963 Strat. My backup is a Hamilton with my name in the neck. In the next section, let's light these babies up. We're going to start this last section with me just playing and incorporating all the stuff that I've gone over in this DVD. The first song is going to be this Hendrixy sort of thing that I wrote on my romp CD. It's called 101. Moves around a bit, and I'm going to go in each chord, and then at the end, I'm going to play over the pentatonic minor and some of the notes in between. Let's go. This next one is going to have me playing chord solo type stuff and single line riffs. If you know my music, then you know this song. I hope I've been somewhat clear in trying to get my ideas across to you. I don't want you to copy me exactly. I want you to expand and reach for new heights in your playing. All I'm trying to do is to find a better way from point A to point B. And there's lots of ways to do that, and I've got a long way to go. So never stop finding those roads towards musical fulfillment and happiness. Now I just want to leave you with a little advice and encouragement. Over the years of me touring in virtually total obscurity rather than the relative obscurity that I enjoy now, questions come up from bands asking, what does it take for them to get out on the road? About obtaining an agency, a manager. Is one necessary at our early stage? Copywriting songs. Can we open up for you? Etc., etc. Let me start at the beginning. First, you have to have some kind of repertoire of songs or a concept of a show in your head. I don't use set lists, but it might be good for you to start using one in the first couple of shows. Song selection can be very important on maintaining the mood and the vibrancy, as well as the interest of your audience. You don't want to play too many songs in the same key or too many slow songs that have generally the same mood or the same kind of rhythm. You'll lose your audience fast, unless, of course, playing the same kind of songs as your shtick, then by all means, play on, play on, play on. Do you need an agent? Well, let's back up a bit. Are you out of playing in the clubs on the regular basis? Are you drawing in good crowds and selling lots of merchandise at your shows? If you're not doing any of these that I mentioned, you're better off without one. Why? Well, you have to remember an agency is going to be taking a piece of your action or a percentage of your pay from the club. The usual fee is 10% of the gross. Plus, an agency really doesn't want to expend energy towards booking your band unless he can see potential for returns. You may be the nicest or hippest guy to hang out with, but if you're not pulling down the crowds and the buzz about you isn't hot, well, just save yourself the money and keep booking yourself. Manager. Very important if one is necessary. This is almost the same conditional requirements as with an agent. Don't get one of your friends to manage you. This is a serious decision and should be treated thus. Remember, if you got a buzz about you, your band is drawing great crowds, and the demand seems high for you guys, look into some people that have some experience that can take you to the next level. When you're on the road, it's exciting. You're seeing different places, and you're meeting and making new friends and connections. It's all so cool. The road is a great place, but it's going to be a grueling time in some places. You've got to try to keep your energy by eating okay, try to get enough sleep, because in the beginning, you're going to feel like your agent is booking your itinerary by throwing a dart at a map on the wall. So be prepared. Party animals, beware. If you've got to participate in the after-show festivities, I mean, you've just played a great show and people are thronged around you, and it's intoxicating. Just use your head and common sense in the situation and know what your limits are. I'd be lying if I said I was always smart, took the pragmatic and sensible route when partaking in après gig soirees. But you could regret it the next day, and I've seen bands come and go when they burn the candle at both ends. Another good thing is whenever you get a radio show and it invites you to be interviewed or to play on the air, do whatever it takes to be there on time. Media is very important, especially at the nascent stages of your career. Newspaper interviews are just as important too. The internet is a valuable resource for finding inroads to media outlets. Look up radio stations in the cities you'll be playing in and start to notify them or just plain pester them a month or so before you get into town. Don't call the DJ unless he's a friend of yours. Try the program director or PD first. Send them a demo CD and maybe a little bit of press that might have been already written about you in other markets and areas. Save yourself money and don't send out a full CD with full-length songs on it. Lots of PDs have attention spans about 10 to 30 seconds when they're listening to small independent bands slugging it out on the road. Just burn a CD, make it look nice of course, not just a scribbled Sharpie pen label, and put about 30 to 45 seconds of your top 3 or 4 songs on it. Send out as many as you can in the markets and follow up with a telephone call. It's not 100%, but using the scatter method on one market may yield a result or two, and don't stop with them there. In the beginning, if nobody contacts you first, keep on trying and somebody will notice your efforts. You have to be persistent. Don't give up. Being on time is also a good thing. If the club tells you to be there on the premises at 5 o'clock for load-in, putting your equipment in the club, then be there. Most clubs are pretty reliable with this. Never be late on big tours if you're opening up. By the way, most bands really don't have a say in who opens up for them. I usually don't find out until I get to the club and ask if someone is opening up. That's going to be up to your agent or your manager or your persistence with the club that the group is playing at. And know your status if you're an opening band. You wait to set up after the main act is done and tells you so, or you've been notified that the stage is yours. And even if you feel like you're being pushed aside and treated with indifference and the staff is being lackadaisical with you, try to maintain your veneer and handle it with aplomb and dignity. Kill them with kindness has always been my motto. Shakespeare said, "The evil that men do lives after them, the good is oft interred with their bones." You can do a lifetime of saintly achievements, and sadly, in this industry, the only thing people will remember you by is your faults. So in closing, practice, songs, fortitude with pragmatism on the road, punctuality, ambition, and modesty will go a long way, I feel, in setting you on the right path. I hope you've enjoyed this DVD. Thank you for your time. Never stop learning, and don't give up. And always, always play with your heart and play for the music. Matane.